We're live. Aloha Friday, everybody. Welcome to your Friday marketing jam session. Tom Gaddis over there.
What's up, everybody?
Over here. Tom's in Vegas. I'm in Washington right now. And today on the live stream, we are going to talk about pre-qualifying your leads. And Tom, it's one of probably the most important things in building a remote agency. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey,
like
turn down the music.
I turned it down a little. It was just kind of loud there.
All right, fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pre-qualifying, like the secret to closing sales, right? Pre-qualifying.
Total game. Do you remember when we started doing pre-qualification? Like we were just hitting our head against the wall all the time. I would say that we probably, our conversion rates in terms of bringing in new paying customers were, I don't know. I mean, if you had to guess out of 1 in 10.
Well, like, let me ask everyone, the people who are on the stream right now, let me ask you this. Have you ever experienced, you have a potential client, you talk to them, you pitch them your services, like they want a proposal, you send them the proposal, and then they go dark. Or you spend all this time getting a great offer together and you give it to them and they're like, oh, well, I only have $500. like, I mean, think about that, right? Like, that's what we're talking about here. If you've been in those situations where you get down to the finish line and the person, you know, you realize like, oh my gosh, this whole thing has been a waste of your time. They've been a tire kicker, or they've just been price shopping. They're not really serious. Has anyone on here experienced that?
Nobody's experienced that. No. You know what's crazy about that too? You know what's crazy about that too, though, Tom, is that there are so many things that it does. I mean, everything that you said, but also, you know, you get to identify if someone's even worth spending the time that it takes to start going down the path of turning them into a customer. I mean, more often than not, in the beginning, in the early days, you spend so much time and effort trying to build trust and start a relationship and find the right lead and see if they have a budget and invest all this time only to find out that, I mean, maybe they didn't even have enough money to work with you to begin with. Maybe they were just fishing for information. Maybe they were just price shopping and kicking tires and trying to find the person that they could find the easiest and cheapest deal from. And more than just figuring out if somebody can afford your services, pre-qualification for me, it's all about finding out who is a good client to work with. Because we've all had those clients that come in that are just, you know, as soon as they become a paying customer, now you're on the hook and you owe them. And like, it can be a horrible culture fit. And so the pre-qualification process can really help you identify who's going to be a good customer to work for you. And, you know, and the ones that aren't, you can not work with, right? You can have the decision or the choice to be able to stay away from those people that are going to give you, like, I mean, what we say a lot of the time, just, you know, brain damage to work with, right?
Yeah. Your microphone's a little poppy. Are you using your headphones?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Too loud?
That's right. No.
Take it down a notch?
No, it just sounds like every time you talk, it's got a little crackle, but that's probably just StreamYard. So, yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that so I closed a sale the other day, and Nick asked me when I talked to him, "Oh, what did you do different on the sale?" And I was like, "Oh no, the person was just really interested." But really, one of the things that I did different, Nick, was identifying that the person was qualified right from the get-go. Right? Instead of trying to, you know, talk about what we're going to be doing for them, the first thing I talked about was the money. And that is like counterintuitive to probably almost everybody here on the call, right? Like, you don't want to talk about the money. I mean, I know I was that way for a long time. Like, I don't want to talk about the money up front. Like, I want to do all this stuff. And that, so that when I mention the money, they're like, oh yeah, I'm in. But that's really backwards. You should be talking about the money first. So that, because if you get to the end, this is one of the things that I had, you know, kind of been struggling with and realized is like, if you get to the end and you're doing the closing part and it's about the money, then the qualification part wasn't right? Like, you're pitching somebody who wasn't qualified. So what I've started doing lately is just I talk about that stuff right up front. So, hey, what is it you're looking to do? What service are you interested in? Okay, look, to do that type of a thing, we require a budget of between, $3,000 and $7,000. Do you have that? Do you have that budget to invest in this? And if they say no, then it's like, okay, thank you very much. Talk to you later. And if they say yes, then we move forward.
Or if they say no, then you're actually able to, if maybe you do want to work with them at some capacity, you have the ability to figure out something that you can do to help them more in their price range.
Yeah, and exactly. You say, well, how much do you have? The next question would be, how much do you have to invest to deal with this? Right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can help you. And then sometimes what'll happen is, like, I know that seems like a scary thing because you think, well, what if the person was just lying to you and they really do have the money and now you're telling them goodbye and you've lost a sale? Well, if a person is really serious and you say, well, you're going to need between, $3 and, whatever it is, $6,000 to really get this rolling with us. Do you have that to invest? And they say no. And you say, okay, well, how much do you have invest? And maybe they tell you, or maybe they say, well, I don't want to give you that. You say, well, look, I have things that go different ranges, right? Like, there's no point in me telling you to do X, Y, and Z if you can't afford X, Y, and Z. Like, that would just not be fair to you, and it wouldn't be fair to me. So I need to at least know what you have to invest in this so that I can make the appropriate thing, right? Sometimes, though, if you just tell a person, all right, well, it doesn't look like this would be a good fit. Thank you very much. Goodbye. They're like, wait a minute. Tell me what, like, I want to know, like they're like the fact that you just kind of brush them off can really work to your advantage too.
Yeah. Good old takeaway method,
Yeah. Like, well, look, do you have this to invest? No. Okay. Well, there's really not point on us talking. Well, wait a minute. But, well, like, like, is that really what? Yeah. Like, okay, well, because then you can get down to so here's what was interesting about that kind of shift, right? And I have known about this for a while, but for some reason I just wasn't doing it. But when I got on a call with a client the other day, and I did that right at the beginning, was like, hey, it's going to be between 3 and 5,000. Do you have that much to invest today? And the guy said, yes, I have 3,000. And I said, okay, great. Well, the whole conversation, like the very first question he asked me was a question that led me into the close, because the price was off the table, right? So the questions he started asking me were the ones that really related to what he was trying to do. Does that make sense? Sometimes they're like, I can't say the word, unnecessary questions, right? They don't really get to the heart of the matter. Like, what is the guy's real objections? What is he really trying to do? What is he really looking for a solution to? Well, when this person realized what was on the line financially, the questions they asked me were very, very laser focused on exactly what it was he was trying to do, and if I could help him do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it made the closing part a lot simpler, because he would ask me the questions and I would give him the answers. Right now, we're talking about how this is going to help him get to where he wants to go.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. The other thing too, and I had this experience recently with pre-qualifying, is that, sometimes if somebody has a more healthy budget, you might be willing to work a little harder for somebody that typically might be more problematic, or for a job that might be more problematic, and I've found, and I know Tom feels this way too, is that pricing is personal. A lot of people, they're like, just charge $10,000 for a website. You should be out there selling SEO for $5,000 a month and no less. That's not been my experience. I had to find my pricing, and yeah, I used other people's at first, and a lot of you can do that too. But man, there were a lot of times when I priced way too high. It just didn't match up with what I was selling, or at least my confidence level, or my skill level, or the level of whatever we were delivering. And so naturally I didn't get a lot of sales. And so I had to kind of land on my own. And I found myself in the beginning, a lot of the times, saying things like, well, what is your budget for this project? Not so that we can just charge you your maximum budget, but I know you are on one based off of what you just told me. And I want to make sure that we can give you the best possible outcome for what you have a budget for. So If it's $500, that's great. You know, what we're able to do for you is just a little different than what we can do for $3,000. And if you are authentic and cool and you come across as just being upfront with that, you're not like freaking out or have some weird energy being translated, the response you're going to get is like from another human, somebody that's going to appreciate you being upfront and know that you are trying to help them and not just trying to sell them, which is a big difference, especially if you're working with, these businesses that have smaller budgets, or if you are just a newer agency owner and you're trying to get whatever client you can at this point. You can't be as picky and choosy, because there's that to consider too. You can't just be an agency owner day one and just be ultra selective about who you're working with. It just doesn't work that way. You actually have to get some income coming in first. You can't just say, I'm not going to work with that guy, I'm not going to work with her because they're in this niche, or you have to get some people coming in first before you get picky and choosy.
You could be picky and choosy as long as you don't need the money.
Yeah, you're going to be broke.
Like if you've got a nest egg set aside and you're like, look, I've got plenty of money to live and survive, and it doesn't really matter to me if this client closes right now or not, then you can be picky. But if you're in a situation where you're relying on this to pay the bills or to generate extra income you need, then yeah, you can throw that out the window. Don't listen to those people.
I look at it as it's kind of a mindset thing for me too, though. Like in the early days when I had very little skill, the fact that somebody would pay me anything to like learn how to do this skill better was a win for me. I didn't get caught up in like, oh, you're only going to pay me $500 for that website. It was more like, you're going to pay me $500 to learn how to build this website? That's freaking awesome. I'm going to try to do this as many times as I can so that I can raise my pricing.
Yeah. And the flip side of that too is like this, so here's some things of like pricing is kind of like, it's one of those things where people get really wrapped up about pricing. And, we have some great training on how to set pricing and stuff inside our Shark Alliance membership and some other places. I think we've even done some pricing training as bonuses, but like pricing is not permanent. And and Nick is right on the money. Like we tell people all the time when we're doing trainings and stuff, we think pricing is one of the most mistalked about subjects, because so many people just offer you the cookie cutter pricing, like Nick said, without any thought behind what your situation is or what it is you're trying to do. So look, if you're new to the agency game and you've never had a client, like your first goal should just be to price to be able to get a client. And knowing that it's not permanent, you could offer a service that could be as little as $250, knowing that you're only going to do that for the first 3 people, right? Then you're going to raise your price. So, not only should you be, basing it off what you're trying to do, but also too, just like Dorn mentioned in the comments, you should be reviewing your pricing frequently. And we have some things about when to know to raise your prices and stuff like that. But I was just giving some remote millionaires that advice the other day. I'm like, look, you should do this and you should sell it for $500. And when you sell 3 of them, you should raise the price. And when you sell 3 more, you should raise the price again. And then you should, and like eventually you're going to have the confidence, the know-how, like you're going to have this whole process dialed in, and you're going to be just like, flying through these things. And 2, the amount of effort it takes to close the first one is not the same amount of effort it takes to close the 30th one. Right? Like you close the first one and it seems like it takes forever, but then you close the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And pretty soon you look back and you go, why did I ever struggle with this? I can't figure it out. Why was this so hard to me? Right? Well, that's the experience kicking in.
Yeah. It's just a new thing. And another, just to expand on that a little bit, Tom, when we raise our pricing and let's say we start selling websites for $5,000, the first couple attempts at doing this are going to be more difficult. As you gain the confidence and all of that, you're going to get better at it. As you build your portfolio of having done it a few times, that's going to help amplify your sales, because you can speak to that even more in the next few people that you're selling at $5,000. But when you sell, 5 out of 5 people at $5,000, that's when you really do need to raise your price, because you should have, 3 out of 5 people taking all of your deals. You know, if you're at 5 out of 5, then you know you're underpriced for the market, and that's why everybody's jumping in for what you got. So there's a little bit of a ratio there. So for those of you, you know, that are getting on calls with people or sending emails or, you know, going to networking events, and every time you talk about a home services jackpot website and you're just closing everybody like crazy, and I know there are people on here that are doing that, you might want to raise your prices a little bit, unless that's just your strategy to get your foot in the door and you want to sell something later. Then keep it that way. That's great. We recommend it in that scenario. But if that's like your moneymaker and you're just a web developer, then that's another indicator that you know where you might be wanting to raise your price.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what, you know, you were saying something earlier that got me off on the tangent that I was like, oh, we should mention that. But now I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I mean, Nick and I have never, even from the get-go, like, we were not able to sell $10,000 websites when we had never built a single website or only built a couple. Like, we just couldn't do it. And, you know, it's interesting because some of the things we teach in the group are things that evolved from this process of us learning how to do this. Like, for instance, our discovery forms. That's something that came in, right? Because we were trying to find out people's budget. And one day I went to Nick and I was like, hey, what if we just put a form on the website and we asked them in the form? And remember when that first one came through and the person had a budget of $8,000? And like, we weren't charging $8,000 for anything. And we were like, whoa, they have a budget of $8,000? Like,
well, actually, we actually had the form. That was the funnier part, is we had the form, but we didn't have the question. It was the magic question. We had the form coming in and we thought we were doing everything right, but then we really didn't know until we had the question asking, what's your budget for this project? And I started to talk about this a couple minutes ago, but I got sidetracked. I had a client come in recently that we pre-qualified that had a good business, healthy business, high budget. We could do great things for them, but they were not very cool. Like, they just were throwing all kinds of red flags and warning signs off. And, you know, when you pre-qualify,
what would some of those red flags be?
So first of all, they were kind of rude on the phone to our team. Also, they were like, hey, we want you to build this website. And then we got on the Zoom and we told them, like, well, okay, so here's how we're going to do it. They're like, why would you do it like this? You should just do it like this. And we're like, well, if you know how to build the website, why don't you just build the website? Like, why are you even on this call?
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah. I thought you wanted an expert to build a website for you. Well, that's what
I tell you what, you build it and just send me half the money and we'll be
And
good.
then I said that. I was like, well, if it's so easy, why don't you build it? And he's like, well, it's not that easy. I'm like, okay, make sure we're on the same page here. But anyway, so, you know, with that information, you know, you can assess the situation individually and unique. Like we have price points for all of our services. Remote Millionaires, you have all of our standard issue pricing. But look, at the end of the day, sometimes we raise our pricing if it's going to be a more complicated project. And sometimes the customer can be the one that makes things more complicated. And so, you know, like in this particular project recently, we raised the price a little bit. It was kind of more like a hole tax, you know?
Well, and, remember we used to call it the annoyance fee? Remember when we had the annoyance fee? And we were like, well, we always take on a little for an annoyance fee.
And so, you know, and the crazy thing is now that this client is in and we've been working with them and we've been doing stuff with them, they have continued to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. Thank you, Jeff. And it's not so bad, you know, because you know you're getting compensated for it. And so for me, that's a big piece of the equation, you know, especially when you're a freelancer. It's like, I think about that. Like, I've been in those projects. Who here has been in those projects? You know, you're 2 weeks in building this website, trying to figure it out, staying up late, or trying to learn how to do SEO, and you're feeling underpaid and undervalued. You want to like hang up the towel on this project. I'm never going to work for this person again. This sucks. We've all been there, right? But if you're getting paid, you know, 10,000 instead of 200, it's not so bad, right? So I always ask myself and my team, whenever we have a red flag client on the horizon, I'm like, how bad are we going to hate ourselves after we bring this person on and start working for them on this project? And, you know, there's a 1 to 10 scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most and 1 being the least, you know. And if everybody is going to, like, you know, have a lot of brain damage by the time we bring this client on, then we probably shouldn't bring them on. Otherwise, let's think of a price point that makes it worth our while.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, and I think, everybody should think about that when you start to evolve and grow your skill set and build your business. Yeah, and this is funny. Norm just closed a $20K deal the other day. He still feels like he's doing too much. Norm, might be time to raise your prices.
That's great. Yeah, and too, like with the pricing and things like that, like ours has evolved over time, as yours will as well, right? Like I do think there's a little bit of fantasy belief in the idea that you could not have ever built a single website or had a single client and all of a sudden be out there charging $8,000 to $10,000 for a website. Like that is, unless you just have an infinite amount of time to wait for the perfect person, that's probably not the best way, right? Like they're gonna want to see some sign that you know what you're doing and you're able to do what you say, which is why they ask to see what you're doing, right? So there are some ways you can hack that authority, though, right? So I know we're talking about pre-qualifying, which you kind of talked about, but a way that you could do that as well is by using the credibility from your fulfillment team. So you find somebody who can design websites, you use their portfolio as the examples of what you show, right? That's one way you can get around that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think there's an important distinction that we should make for people, Tom, in that the way you can't just be doing outbound prospecting and try to pre-qualify somebody the same way that you can pre-qualify somebody that is reaching out to you for information about your services. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, if somebody's like asking me, hey, Nick, can we work with you? My response is, well, let's find out, fill out this form and we'll gather some information and we'll talk to you about your project. But I can't really deploy that method if I'm reaching out to businesses and saying, hey, business owner, we want to work with you. And they're like, oh, what do you guys got? I'm like, go fill out this form. They're not going to fill out the form, right? It's different. You're doing inbound, like pre-qualification, in contrast to outbound qualification. So you're qualifying if you're doing outreach, sale on the phone, Zoom, email, DM, whatever. The process is a little bit different. It's more of a exploration conversation that you need to have with them, either in person or on the phone or through email. And so the best way to do that is by piquing someone's interest, demonstrating the value that you have, right? Showing them, like what Tom said, portfolio stuff, results of other clients. Ideally, if it's in the same industry, if you're looking for new solar clients and you have 10 other solar clients that you've taken from, $50K to $300K a month, well, chances are this other guy that you're talking to, if you just showed him how you did that, you showed him the data, I mean, it'd be a no-brainer. So that's a way
the case study approach, right? Here's a case study. Let us work with you. Somebody just sent us one of those the other day. That was like, hey, I've helped people do X, Y, and Z. Here's the examples of what we did. Look at the proof. Like, would you like us to do this for you? Contact us. Like, it was an intriguing offer because you're like, oh yeah, I'd like us to do that for us.
It's so funny because actually last night we got hit with somebody sent us called the agency and left a voicemail. It was like, hey, this is the world's greatest.
Oh yeah, I listened to that message.
Yeah, and we wanted to profile your company and speak with somebody that could give us a statement. I'm a senior publisher at blah 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 blah. Like it sounded so.
Nick was like, "Is this legit? Do you guys think this is legit?"
but the messaging behind that is like they were hacking their authority, just like we do with Agency Growth Machine, just like we do with. I mean, we hack our authority with Home Services Jackpot or Website Client System by creating a test website and showing it to them. The website already exists. So we hack our authority by showing them we already know how to build this thing. There's no risk. It's already there. You can just have it. Whereas if you have to show somebody that you can even do that, like you have no portfolio or nothing to show them that you've ever done before, nobody wants to be the first one, right? Nobody wants to, hire you to do something and you've never done it before. Most people don't really want to do that. So you have to do a good job on positioning yourself so that you're not that person.
Yeah, and if you're doing, you're talking about inbound versus outbound. So, right, like the inbound lead, you say, well, let's see if we can work together. What's your situation? Fill out this form. But when you're doing outbound, like there are some things you can do to pre-qualify your outbound outreach as well too. Like number one, you may look at, okay, well, who are my best clients? What do they have in common? And then how do I find people that have those same traits for doing outbound prospecting, right? So you can pre-qualify them that way by looking at the best clients you have and determining that. Another way to do it is to base it on, well, look, I know I want to charge in a certain range. So if I'm going to be building a website and I'm going to be charging between, $8,000 and $10,000, that's going to restrict the size of business, right? Like a business needs to be a certain size to have a certain amount of revenue for that to work, right? So how can I identify what size business that is? And then how can I find businesses that I'm pretty confident are doing that type of revenue? Now, here's the thing. You're layering on these complications. So you're going to be going very specific, which means you're not going to be reaching out to hundreds, even thousands, even hundreds of prospects on a weekly basis. You're going to be looking for a very narrow prospecting range. You're going to be reaching out to very few people on a weekly basis, but those very few people are going to be pre-qualified to the best of your ability. So you have to make that shift, right? Like just sending out 1,000 emails a week to random businesses is not the best way to land a client that's going to pay you 8 to 10 grand, right? Like you need to identify the people that can afford that first, and then you start reaching out to them. That's how you do it. So, I know the tendency in the agency space is for people to want to have huge lists to contact, and they want to be sending out thousands. And like, I don't know, we've tried that. It does not work nearly as well as being more hyper targeted. So, the way you can tell if people have that kind of budget is look at people that do spend that kind of money on websites and then look for businesses like them. Right. That's one way. We used to have a hack. I can't remember exactly how it went. It was like based on their employees. You can determine how much revenue somebody's doing based on how many of the employees they have. So you may want to target businesses that have 3 or more employees because they have X amount of thing here. Now, the last thing I'll say about this, when you're everybody says, oh, it'd be great. We target businesses that have a budget, a marketing budget of 10,000 or more. Okay. Let's say that's like, you're like, oh, that's what I want to do. When you target businesses that have a marketing budget like that, they have a process and a thing in place to spend that budget. So you probably are not going to just be able to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I got a service, it's $5,000. And they're going to say yes. Like there's going to be a process they have in place. Like you're going to have to meet with them. You're going to have to submit information. They may be taking multiple bids. It's typically going to require more than one point of contact, right? A lot of times when you're dealing with smaller businesses and you're selling a service that's $500, like you can get a sell right away because that's not that big of a deal to start talking and get a check. But when you're talking bigger money and more complicated projects, the process of bringing those people on as clients also becomes extended and different and requires different things. So, sometimes I think we talk to people and they have this fantasy that someone's just going to hand over a check for 10 grand without very much thought. And it really doesn't work that way, right? Like the more involved the deal, the higher the price tag, the more working parts there's going to be and the more things that they're going to want to see. That's why for some things we don't recommend going to chains, because chains require, you got to move up the ladder, right? This person has to talk to that person. And then the other thing about businesses that have budgets, that work on a budget, like actually budget money to do things every year, that there are 2 things. One is the reason they're so desirable as clients is because a corporation that has a marketing budget of let's say they have a marketing budget of 20 grand. Let's say it's 20 grand a month. They are going to spend 20 grand a month. Does anybody know why they would do that? Why would they spend 20 grand a month if that's their budget? Anyone? Bueller?
Oh, are you asking me?
No, I'm asking the people out there, but
yeah.
I know it takes a minute to come in.
Yeah.
Like if you came in and said, I could do, like if you went into that company and said, I could do all your marketing and I'll only charge you 10 grand, I would pretty much almost guarantee you that they wouldn't take your deal. Anybody know why? Yes, this is right, Lori. So they have the same budget next year. Their job, if they spend less, the company will cut their budget. So they always try to spend their budget or even go because they want the same amount of budget. Like they've budgeted that money. It is already budgeted to spend. They are not interested in like they're going to spend that amount. Now, what they want to do is get the most out of that budget. Like they're going to spend 20 grand a month. That doesn't mean they're going to pay somebody 20 grand a month to do SEO unless they feel like that's what's giving them the most for that budget. But they're going to spend that budget. So, you know, going into those types of places thinking that, oh, if I just give them a low price because their budget's high, they'll take me isn't good. You have to show them that they're getting value, but they're going to spend the budget. Does that make sense? So you always have to remember that. And then two, their budget, because there's a process, you have to get in early because things are going to be, that budget's going to be spent. Like they have to get it in. They're not waiting till the last minute. So that's the other thing. That's right. The military, the government, the military, they all do that, mm-hmm. right? That's why when they say, like when you're talking about the budgets for like the government and the military, that's why when they say the budget decreased, it really didn't. Like they have a certain percentage, they're going to raise it every year. Sometimes they raise it less. And when they raise it less, they call that a budget cut. Isn't that weird? How would you, like, you're still getting more money than you got the year before, but they call it a budget cut. Like that just kills me. That kills me.
Well, and they believe in this principle so much that a lot of you are right as well in that the tax write-off, they will spend the budget because they know at the very least, if there's anything left over that they didn't spend by the end of the year, they will just try to spend it for the tax benefit and for what Tom is mentioning. But it is one of the reasons why you will find that a lot of businesses and even small businesses, because there is I mean, for me, I'm not really looking for big corporate clients. And I know Tom isn't either. Like it's not very, I don't know, it's not very fun to work with those types of clients. Big corporate companies with a board, you got to write proposals, you got to ask them a question. It takes, 3 weeks to get a response because Jim has to ask Lucy and it's got to go up the chain of command. Like, I don't really want to deal with that. And I also, in the sales process, don't want to have to go through that 3-week long sales cycle. I'd like to speak to the decision maker and I would like them to make a decision on either the first or second call and how we can help their business. And so, I mean, that's why we find a lot of people, a lot of the small businesses we work with, because that's the sweet spot, just smaller businesses that they have an actual verified business, which is different than a startup, right? Because if you're someone from a startup is like, hey, I have a business idea. Can you help me? I want to run ads. I want to do SEO. Like, that's a difficult job because you have to help them verify their product. You have to help them figure out their pricing. They may think they know who they're going to sell to or where they're going to sell it, but you don't really know for sure. And so it's a lot easier if you have somebody that has a good product, has their pricing worked out, is already making sales, and then you can come in and sprinkle some marketing on what they're doing and then help grow what they already have. So that's the kind of sweet spot for us, right? Generally, it's a business that has at least 100K in annual revenue. And, we find towards the end of the tax year, a lot of people are coming to you as an agency owner, figuring out where they can spend any sort of budget they have to get a return for the next year. It's one of the reasons why we found that, towards the end of the year is usually the busiest time of year for an agency, or at least for our agency. I don't know, maybe other people have seen different things, but for us, it seems like everybody wants a website towards the end of the year, a new website or a revamped website, or, they're ready to do something. Many times, Tom and I have actually had the experience where people will pay us because they just want to get rid of the money. And then they never come back to claim the service. They just disappear. We've
had that happen. Yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah. Well, what you said there about the sprinkling in the marketing, like that, that is pre-qualifying as well, right? When you identify the type of business that you can deliver the most help to, like what that business looks like, that's a pre-qualification as well. So pre-qualification isn't just about the money. It's also about the results you can deliver. So knowing, like, let's say you're an SEO person, your ability to deliver results to someone who is aware of SEO, but they're like someone who's just off the first page, or someone who's on the first page, but number 8 and number 9, like the amount of effort it takes for you to move that person up is probably considerably less than the effort it takes for somebody who's starting a new business and has 0. Or maybe it's easier for you to, you know, like, so identifying those things and then knowing, like, okay, and like Nick said, like they can craft their marketing messages specifically to those people now. So Nick can send out an email to the Why Thrive list and say, hey, are you a business doing at least 100K a year? Would you like to increase your revenue by 20%? Like, we can help you do that. If you're making 100K, if you're doing 100K, like we saw that with somebody who, was it I just saw did that the other day, that was like, they had a thing that was like, if you're running Facebook ads and you're spending $30,000 a month, contact us. We can help you do XYZ. Like they're pre-qualifying, calling out people, right? Like this is the person we can help the most, because you have to assume that the person who's doing that, a person that's, you know, running Facebook ads and spending 30K a month, already has certain things in place. So you can just come in and refine and do the process. So that's part of pre-qualifying as well. It's not just about the price. It's also about identifying businesses that are in the best position for you to help. So, you know, sometimes if someone's never sold a single piece of their product online, that is a harder business to help than somebody who's doing 5,000 a month, but can't figure out how to do 10. Like we can help those people 100%, like, cause you know how to do that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. And man, I wish I would have known that back in the day in the beginning, you know, because there are some industries that I know that look, if you're a photographer on Maui and you're trying to get into wedding photography and you call our agency and you want to like do SEO, like, I mean, we can't really help you. I mean, right? Like we're going to tell you like, it's too competitive because everybody has an iPhone and everybody lives on Maui as a photographer, and it's just way too competitive. So you have, if you are going to take this client on, the only way to do it and survive is by setting their expectation properly, by telling them, yeah, we can do SEO for you, but chances are you're not going to rank number 1 for Hawaii wedding photographer. You know, same thing for real estate agents in Maui or Hawaii. Like chances are you're not going to come in there and be the number 1 real estate agent in Google. Like that's just not going to happen. And so if you tell them that you might be able to become the number 1 real estate agent for maybe one of the small towns in Maui or in Hawaii, then that's different. You know, you want to be the Makauau's best realtor. That can happen, right, Tom?
Yeah. Yep.
Something like that, right? So if you set that expectation though, and they know that that's what they're coming in for, and that's what your job is, to bring them higher and, you know, somewhere that's less competitive or less saturated, then that's different, right? They're going to be happy if you can do that, and it's much easier to do that. And so I wish that I knew how to set the expectation properly a lot earlier on in the beginning. But I didn't really know how to do that. You know, I just promised everybody the world. And then when I wasn't able to deliver, I was like, you know, stressed out and anxiety and sad and all that stuff. So hopefully, you know, even just being on this live stream, that helps you get your wheels turning a little bit about setting proper expectations for people that you're selling.
Yeah. And also too, one last thing about pre-qualifying, and this ties into what we've been talking about in our emails this week. So you can pre-qualify by price. You can pre-qualify by your ability to take a business from where it's at to where, you know, it's looking to go. The other thing too, you can like a foot in the door offer is pre-qualifying. We're looking for a business that has a specific problem that we can fix, and then we're offering to fix that for them. So that's really a type of pre-qualification. And one of the things we've been talking about in our emails this week is we have a bonus package we put together for a thing called Local Leader. It's a software that helps you identify people that have specific problems that you can fix as an agency. So things like no website or Google Business profile claim. Maybe they don't have any reviews. Like it's a it's a lead tool, but it's also a pre-qualifying tool as well, because it gives you various data points. And right now it's on a special pricing. We put together a bonus package for it. You get a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go over that at the end of this stream. But if you pick it up through our link, you get all the stuff free. I want to go over it. But before we do that, I want to call out a couple of people. Number one, we want to celebrate our member of the week. So every week we pick out.
Hold the trophy.
Oh yeah! Every week we pick out a member of the week. We send them the Shark Treasure swag box. You get this delivered from us. This week, our member of the week is. I'm going to share my screen here. Look at this. Sandy Alexander.
Hey, Sandy!
Congratulations, Sandy. Hear that applause?
I do.
What music were you playing? Into Space?
Just pick one. I don't even know.
All right, we'll play this one.
They're all good.
Awesome. Sandy, congratulations. You're member of the week. She shared a recent win and she reached out to the community for advice to service and deliver to the client due to a slight roadblock. So way to use the community, way to participate. Sandy, someone from our team is going to reach out to you. You got a Shark Treasure swag box headed your way. Congratulations. And then, okay. All right. I wanted to get that out of the way. I want to talk just a quick minute about our bonus package, Nick, and then I want to do some shark shout outs. So let me pull this up.
I love when I see people in our community lean on the other members and ask for help in bringing in a deal or fulfilling for a client, using that support group. I mean, Tom and I talk about this all the time. We wish that more people in our community would use our network even more. Like sometimes people reach out to us and like, hey, I'm struggling. I've been struggling for 3 months or blah, blah. And we're like, well, why don't you say something? You know where to reach us. Where have you been? I think sometimes people forget that they can come to our community and ask questions and participate and have somewhere that they can go when they need help with growing their business. There are a lot of communities out there that are not very helpful. You're just kind of in there, I don't know why you're in there, but in this one, there's a lot of value here, and a lot of the value is by using the community here to get help. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about our bonus package, and we're going to do some shark shout outs. So let me share my screen again here. Shashank said to refresh the shout outs too before you throw those up there. Okay. By the way. All right. So I'm going to put this up on the screen as well, but don't go here yet and get sidetracked, but this is a link to our bonus page. This is when you go to this link, offlinesharks.com/leads galore. This is the page you end up on. We're calling this our leads galore bonus package. And you can see, look at that. I am a real variety of outfits these days, aren't I, Nick? Look at that. Did you just shoot that video? It's like the Twilight Zone. Anyway. Patty, what do you think about that? Patty, this is one of my clients, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so our bonus package is really, really good for local leaders. So here's the deal. When you pick this up there, and it's on a special launch pricing, it's really inexpensive. I've been playing around with the tool. I like it. It does what it does pretty well. So I think you guys will like it. It's a good little thing just to have in your arsenal. But when you pick up local leader through our link, you're going to get some exclusive shark bonuses. So number one is, this is a tongue twister. Local lead leak. Loom landing an 8K client. I was glad I was able to say that. Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate that one. That was great. Yeah. So it's actually a recording of Nick landing an 8K client. I think it's you. Is it you? Yeah. Or is it somebody from the team? Okay. But there's a breakdown. This is a real great in the trenches type thing. Yeah. So, I periodically record my sales calls, and we have sales people now in the agency recording their calls. I remember a recent 8K deal that was closed not by me. I'm not sure if I shared the recording to be released yet publicly on that level, but I think this is a different one. I've landed many 8K websites. Yeah, well, you guys will love it. It's really great.
Shark exclusive bonus number 2, you get follow the prospect lead directly to sale. So this is a another in the trenches case study, and you'll see exactly how Nick customizes offers to each client to improve your successes for chance. Your chances of success. Man, I can't talk today. But that's exclusive Shark bonus number 2. So you get the recording, you get this case study, plus you get Shark exclusive bonus number 3, a business nurturing email swipe file. This is pulled directly from the agency. We're also going to throw in our in-house client intake form and our in-house website audit checklist. So altogether, it's a real world value of around $743, but you get all of that for free. It's delivered instantly. All you have to do is click this green button on the page, pick it up. It's through JV Zoo. So the bonuses are delivered in your JV Zoo account. But if you have any issues with access, just hit up our support. But just go to offlinesharks.com/leads galore. Check it out. Grab the bonuses. You're going to love it. Yeah, great package, great bonus package, great little tool. So awesome.
Man, that is a killer bonus package. You know, like as you're going through each one of those things, I'm like, man, you're giving away the farm. Like, you know, all those things take a lot of work to put together. You know, I can't tell you all. Like, what? Can you go back real quick? Can you go back to, I think, item number 3? And by the way, who picked up this bonus package? Somebody was asking about the OTOs.
I was refreshing the shout outs.
Oh, okay.
But look,
somebody was asking about
bonus number 3. That one?
Go up one more, please. The in the trenches training.
2. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so in order to do this, everybody, in order to put these in the trenches trainings together, it's like kind of getting kicked in the nuts. I'm going to be honest with you. It really is, because here's why. Let me explain. It's not only do you have to do everything that it takes to close a deal, right? But that takes a lot of mental fortitude. Strategy, thinking, pricing, anxiety, but also as soon as you're done or while you're going through it, document the process. And so it takes something that can only, maybe take an hour normally into 2 to 3 hours, taking screen captures, writing out the thinking behind why we sent that email and why we responded to this email and why we got on the call and then said what we said and priced it that way. That's what those in the trenches trainings are, right? We named that in the trenches because you have to be in the trenches, like landing clients, talking to clients, making deals to put those together. So you can't just, these aren't things that you can just read a blog post about and create this training. It's actually based on, it's a case study, right? It's a real case study. So these little things, these little nuggets are so valuable. I mean, $99 in value, that's underpriced, Tom. Underpriced. We can talk about this. And there's 5 of them. The nurturing swipe file, we had somebody on our team sit in our office and write this email swipe file, and we've sent it out to thousands of businesses. You're giving it away for $297. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And
team meeting after the call. Team meeting.
Yeah. This is a great bonus package. Somebody was asking about the OTOs for local leader. So, you guys, I don't really know what the OTOs are. Can't really tell you what those are. What I can tell you is the actual tool in local leader. Tom and I have been, messing around with it, and there are a bunch of data points in it that I've never seen anywhere before. Not even in Lead Kahuna. Somebody asked, what's the difference between Lead Kahuna and SoSpine and this? This tool, the API that they're using, is a new API that I've never seen before. It pulls a bunch of information. Yes, it has information that is in Lead Kahuna and stuff too. And Lead Kahuna does things that this tool doesn't do. But look, at the end of the day, this tool's, I don't know, $50 or less. It's probably a lot.
I think it's less than that.
Yeah. So if you want another way to maybe find some businesses that you can pre-qualify with a tool that have some weaknesses that you might be able to reach out to and get in as a client for a very low amount of money, then great. You're also, you're basically buying this bonus package is what you're really buying, because there's no price tag that you really could put on all that stuff. So get the bonus package, go check out the tool. I don't know what the OTOs are, but it's a really great value on what we have.
What's great? When you go to that page to pick this up, the very first The very first 2 testimonials are people from our community, Marvin Drobes and Tim Wink.
Yeah. Marvin, maybe you could chime in here. I appreciate it. You know, a couple people have some questions on some of the things, because I know you've been using this tool too. You've already got a couple clients. Marvin's always crushing it. So if you could help us out here, I'd really appreciate it, Marvin.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's only like right now you can get the local leader commercial version. It's just a one-time $39. Like, that's a super good deal.
Yeah.
And you can get it for anyway. Yeah. $37. Anyway, there's a coupon code there. So yeah, definitely you should go check it out. So awesome.
Yeah, go to offlinesharks.com/leads galore. That's going to take you to the bonus page that Tom just showed you. You click that link, it'll take you to the sales page. When you buy, you're going to get an email with a link to our bonus package. That's the way it works, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You should.
All right.
If for some reason you don't get your bonus package, send us an email. We're here.
You know, JV Zoo is not. It's not you. They're in there, but man, I think they're hard to find in JV Zoo. Like, they don't make it very user friendly. Like, you don't instantly see where your bonuses are. But I know they're in there. But it is a little bit of the trick to find them in JV Zoo. So awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Okay, so one more thing. We need to do some shark shout outs. So we're going to do some shark shout outs to our community. Then we're going to give away a little Cash App money. Let me share my screen here.
Who picked up our bonus package, by the way? Let me get some thumbs up and some likes.
Lots of people. I think lots of people are in there.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. Okay, so our shark shoutouts. Every week we love to celebrate the people in our community and the success they're having. So we base these off of deals closed from the previous week. When people share like, hey, I closed a website, I sold an SEO package. If they tell us an amount, we track it. And we like to call them out on this week. So our first shout out goes to our member of the week, Sandy Alexander. She closed a website deal for a 1-person startup with a small budget, $450. An amazing win, Sandy, an amazing win. Congratulations. Mr. Marvin Drobes, restaurant needs their Google business profile set up. That's a referral, $350. He closed a current client on retargeting to monthly services, $350. And then he secured a client through another referral, new website, $2,900. Plus, he'll set up his Google business profile and manage monthly at $500 per month with no setup fee. That's a great win.
Wow. Yeah, Marvin.
Yep. And the megalodon himself, Mr. Dorn Britton, secured a gig for app development, $15K for a cosmetic dentist.
What?
$3,500 received up front. New solar client, $2,500 website, $1,600 a month SEO, $497 a month for Google business profile on social. Plus, he sold 7 $9 ebooks.
I think he's being sarcastic about the ebooks. Maybe he did sell the ebooks, but wow, what a
that's
week,
great.
Dorn. Congrats.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Dorn.
Man,
our next shout outs go to Remote Millionaires member Martin Jackson. Martin picked up a website deal, 850 pounds. That's $1,010. He sold a Google Analytics setup plus Google Data Studio report, 1,000 pounds, which is 1,190 a month US. Congratulations, Martin. Mr. JT Truesdell closed a deal for SEO and retargeting for an old client, $1,200 a month plus 1 video for him each month for the next 6 months. A retargeting campaign for an HVAC company at $1,295 a month for 3 months to start. What was interesting about this deal for the old client was JT mentioned in the, when he was talking about this inside the Remote Millionaires Slack space, he was saying how this is a client he had years and years ago, but like he had continued to like wish the guy happy birthday, send him a birthday card. And then they just like the guy just reached out to him and was like, hey, but it just shows that those touch points are so important, and they pay off even when they don't feel like they're paying off. So congratulations, JT.
Nurturing the relationship, right? Just continuing
nurturing the relationship.
Nurture it.
Yep. Roger Chappell, $2,500 per month to write content, blog, on-site SEO, and off-site SEO for a small B2B SaaS. So congratulations, Roger. Roger's a newer member to RM, so good job.
Yeah, he is.
Gaetano secured a new website development and optimization deal. 70% deposit received to start, 1806. And then Mr. Jerry Wright, brand new to the ARM program. I just had an intro call with him the other day. He's in the UK. Delivery of a new website for a spiritual teacher, 600 pounds, $710 US. So congratulations. And for those of you keeping track, last week, that's a combined total of $42,511 for the week of July 9th to July 15th. Our grand total since the start of 2022 is $770,493. So congratulations to everyone. Let me get some applause going. Yep, that is awesome. And there's also, where is it? Here we go. Look at this, Nick. Oh, well, I got to turn off the banner for a minute.
We're going to hide all of our...
Look at this. We can just have the image right there. Congratulations. That's great. So yeah, awesome. 770,000. An amazing job. All right. I'm going to put this link back up for the bonus thing. And we have one last thing before we call this live show another success in the books. And that is...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
Dollar. Ching, bling, bling, got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Boom. Who's our lucky winners?
Taylor says, Shano, hit the music. All right, so for those of you that are new to our Aloha Friday Marketing Jam session, we like to give away Cash App money every single week, sometimes more, sometimes even more. And the way that you get it is you show up to the stream. Whenever we post all of our shout outs, if you comment on that shout out post in our Facebook group and congratulate the members, which our member of the week, Sandy Alexander's here. Congratulations, Sandy. If you congratulate, make a comment on that post towards the end of the stream, like right now, we will pick a couple of winners and give you some free Cash App money just for hanging out and, you know, being a good member of our community. And so the winners this week, we have two winners, are Kristen Bedard and Tony Osborne. Congratulations to you both. And yeah, that's awesome. Glad to have you both here. Appreciate you all congratulating all of our members. Man, Tom,
congratulations.
The shout outs and the numbers and all the stuff that we have going on here, it's like it gives me all the feels of, you know, being proud of what we've built here in this community and how everybody participates and engages with each other and help each other out. And it's actually
it's really awesome. Really awesome to watch. So man, this hour flew by. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed this session of the Marketing Jam Session Live. A couple of things. Next Friday, I believe, we are going to have a special guest. A special guest that we've had on before, and as always, like, he always kills it every time he's on. Yeah. He doesn't do a lot of these. We very rare, I think he's only been on once before a long time ago. But you guys are going to love it. You're going to want to show up for that. You're going to want to be here next Friday, so mark your calendar. Make sure it's the same shark time, same shark channel, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here. We will see you then. Until then, stay safe out there. Good luck pre-qualifying and prospecting. And if you have questions, let us know in the Facebook group or hit our support desk up at offlinesharks.com/support. And we will see you guys next week. Stay safe, everybody.
You've been listening to the Sharks Live Show, your weekly marketing jam session. Always bringing you the latest strategies and tactics to build your remote business from anywhere in the world. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this stream. You can stay up to date throughout the week with Nick's YouTube videos at nickponte.com/YouTube and Tom's podcast at tomgaddis.com. We'll be back here next Friday for another Sharks Live Show. Until then, aloha.